It's a battle of the Americans, you could put it, but it's in England. Wrexham against Chelsea. Wrexham are probably one of the most popular British teams outside of England. While Chelsea, everyone knows they've got new American owners who've been playing a bit of hachi-bachi with the club over the last few seasons. Wrexham against Chelsea, Dan. Everyone loves Wrexham. Everybody loves the Wrexham story. Is there a chance? I know it's difficult. Is there a chance that against the Chelsea team who want to win the FA Cup, like the manager has said, Liam Rossignol, is there a chance that this Wrexham team can take their fairy tale and overcome Chelsea in the FA Cup?
Yeah, I think there is a chance. Whether you consider that a big chance or a small chance, they're in the hat. They have home advantage. You've got to believe. It could be another FA Cup fairy tale that we all love to see. Wrexham story has been fantastic over the last couple of years. It could get even better, not just with a FA Cup win at the weekend, but they are in the playoffs as things stand. Who knows? They could be knocking on the Premier League door and being in the top tier in August. But before we get there, obviously they've got to deal with a visiting Chelsea, who were resilient in the end after their comeback win over Aston Villa in midweek. That much needed after a real poor run of results in the Premier League, which put their top five hopes in jeopardy. So yeah, it has all the ingredients for a great cup tie. If it was at Stamford Bridge, you'd probably think, well, Chelsea at home, favourites anyway, going through the motions. But it's just that extra narrative that we've got that we can all sort of tap into. And we've seen this story in FA Cup so many times before. Then why not have a similar chapter come the weekend?
For those who don't know a lot about Wrexham, especially those outside of England, what's unique about this Wrexham team? And are they as good as all the stories the people not in England hear about them?
Well, with Wrexham, when they got taken over, they were in the fifth tier of English football. Now, we've seen clubs make the move up the leagues many times. It's not the first time it's happened, but to do it three promotions in as many seasons is phenomenal. They get accusations of spending big money, but they spend their money well, and that's a big difference compared to clubs who have spent big in the past. They have a trajectory which seems like it's going to keep going. It's not a case of if they get to the Premier League, it'll be when they get to the Premier League. As I say, it could be in a few months' time. And I think just the fact that it's not just a rich businessman which taken over, it's the Hollywood angle which everyone's tapped into. Obviously, the documentary that you see on Disney has been a great boost for the club. The worldwide appeal is second to none for Wrexham. It's the club transformed in the space of 5-6 years. So it gets its detractors because people say it's not natural progression, it's not natural ambition, but it makes a great story, and that's what football's all about. Sometimes we kind of get caught in the lust of the Premier League and everything about the big clubs, and sometimes you need those fairy tales lower down the pyramid, and that's exactly what we're seeing with Wrexham.
All right, let's talk about Chelsea a bit then. Now, Liam Rossignol, obviously, he's got two realistic cup competitions where he can actually pick up the trophy for Chelsea in his first stint in charge. They have the FA Cup, which is very realistic if you look at how they've been performing. There's also the small matter of the UEFA Champions League and whether or not you believe Chelsea can win it. In terms of how important the FA Cup is for him and in terms of squad rotation, Chelsea played PSG in the Champions League in midweek. We should see some rotation. But going to a ground like Wrexham, would it be wise to still go strong?
Oh, of course, they haven't got the luxury of making 5-6 changes. As I say, if it was at Stamford Bridge, then maybe you could roll the dice a bit further, but you've got to treat Wrexham with respect, being where they are, even if they weren't top six of the Championship. I think the fact they're at this stage of the FA Cup and at home, it's not a game that they can take lightly. I feel that there will be changes because with PSG around the corner, you can't necessarily go full strength all the time. There's got to be some rest and recuperation, and Chelsea have a massive squad, so why wouldn't you in this position? So yes, I think there will be changes, but make too many changes at your peril, and if they do that, Chelsea, they could be the next Premier League team to be dumped out of the competition.
All right, so let's put our betting caps on that. Next, how do you see this one going? Do they really have that quality that punters should be afraid that they can pull something up against Chelsea?
I'd love to say yes, but unfortunately, I think that's where the fairy tale ends. But I think goals is probably where the value is going to come. If you back Chelsea to win, it's not really going to give you too much from the bookmakers. So I'm going to go with goals. Both teams to score is a great starting point. I'll probably squeeze it out for a bit more. Probably go for over 3.5 goals in total. Wrexham have scored 54 goals in the Championship in 35 games, so they're no strangers to scoring this season. Always entertaining when they play. Chelsea have of course, scored 4 in midweek. So I think it's a game that promises goals. Wrexham always like to turn it on in front of the cameras. So Both teams to score as a starting bet, but if you want to squeeze it out a bit more, I'd go over 3.5 for that bit more value.
All right. Thank you very much, Dan.
Thanks, Tolu.